Okay. Okay, so hi guys. Once again, good afternoon to everyone and welcome to our fifth Calicut MuleSoft meetup. So happy to see you guys here, and thank you everyone for joining. So today we have a very interesting topic: user management in AnyPoint platform, as well as a very experienced speaker, Mr. Sridhar, and I'm sure you guys will get the best out of it. So I think we can get started. Um, so just like every news of meetups, so I'm going to read the safe harbor statement for you guys. Um are you guys able to see my safe harbor statement slide, or
Fatima.
so I think I should share it once again. Once again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Now I am able to see.
okay. Mm, one second. I will share once again. Now, what about now, Sridhar?
No, Fatima. Still, I am able to see the first page.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
now I am
I
able to
was
see
trying to
safe harbor
actually make
statement.
it full screen, but maybe because I shared only one window. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the safe harbor statements. Both the speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies here. This presentation is strictly for learning purposes only. Organizer or presenter do not hold any responsibility. That same solution will work for your business requirements. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Yeah. So, getting to the organizers part. So myself, I'm Fatima Farzana. I'm currently working at NGC Labs and I have around 2 years of experience. Also, I'm the Calicut MuleSoft Meetup leader and recently became a MuleSoft mentor too. And my co-host for the day is John Matthew. So John, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, thank you, Fatima. Thank you for that. So, first of all, welcome everyone. Welcome to the once again, welcome to the fifth MuleSoft Meetup of Calicut Group. So that's me. I'm John Matthew Phillip. So I'm also working at NGC Labs as an integration developer, and I have a total of around 2+ year of experience in integration domain. So, and I'm also a MuleSoft Meetup leader of Calicut Group, and recently I got enrolled into the MuleSoft Mentor cohort. So, looking forward to this meetup, and as well as I also want to express my gratitude towards Sridharan also, because he was very okay to accept this invitation and come towards speaking for this meetup. So, thank you again, Sridharan, from my side. And yeah, that's it. Looking forward to the meetup, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John. This is our agenda. Today we're going to start with user management in AnyPoint platform, then followed by related demos. And towards the end, as usual, we have our trivia quiz. And also, I take this moment to express our gratitude towards Mr. Sridharan, uh, who accepted the invitation without any reluctance. Thank you, Sridhar. And there is a Q&A session enabled. So once we start the topic, please put your questions in the Q&A session so that it will be easy for us to find the questions. And we'll be taking up your questions after each topic, so that will be easy for Sridhar to answer your questions. And yeah, that's it. So I'm stop sharing. Sridhar, you can start sharing the screen.
Yeah, sure, Fatima. Let me share my screen.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Let me know once you are able to see.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay. Hi all, welcome to today's meetup. I just want to thank Fatima and John for providing this opportunity. Okay, so when coming to the introduction about me, I am Sridharan Rajsekhar, working as a senior technical lead in EY. Okay, I have around 11 years of experience in IT. I have started as a Java developer. Okay, and after that I have moved to integration domain, and currently I'm having 5 years of experience in the integration domain. I am a certified MuleSoft developer as well as the architect, and I'm one of the MuleSoft meetup speaker as well. So that's the short and little introduction about me. And I just I have seen some of the new people also. I mean, who are very fresh to IT also. They are doing their engineering as well. So I just want to tell them that they are in the right place, because as the world is going towards the digital, API are the very main backbone for that, and this is one of the main uh, topic in API management. MuleSoft is the one of the leader as per the Gartner quadrant. So you guys are in the right place. So we can get started. Okay, so first we will be going to see the users. Okay, so users are very much essential in accessing the platform, whatever the platform we are mentioning, like yeah, integration platform or whatever the thing, right? Users are very main part of that. Okay, they are very much needed because they are the one going to be perform some of the actions. Okay, so they are very much essential. And when coming into the MuleSoft, right, there will be a role called org administrator, and org administrator is the person who will be going to enable or disable or delete the users from the platform. So that is the main role present in the MuleSoft platform. Okay, and for analogy, we can treat like users like you can treat the platform as your home. Okay, and when you have constructed your home, you will be inviting some of the persons to come to your home, right? So those persons will be called users. And so the as a owner of that home, you will be able to provide the option to create the users, and you can enable or disable them as well. And when coming into the MuleSoft platform, right, the user details are mainly needed in these five places. One is control plane UI, then CLI, REST APIs, Maven, and Anypoint Studio. So for whom those Anypoint platform is very much new, right? I will just go walk you through that. Okay. So Anypoint platform will be a web page wherein you will be going to access the MuleSoft. So let me log into my Anypoint platform. So for logging to Anypoint platform, you will be needing a username and password. So basically, the user will be having this username and password. Okay, and whatever we have done, right, we have logged into the Anypoint platform with the username and password in this web page. So this is the thing we have mentioning as control plane UI. And similarly, MuleSoft for accessing the components, right, we will be having different things like CLI, which is a command line interface provided by Anypoint, and we have REST APIs as well, so which is also provided by MuleSoft. So whenever you are performing any action in the control plane UI, right, so internally it will call some of the APIs hosted in the Anypoint only. So there as well, the user details will be needed. Okay, and next one is Maven. So for people who know about custom policies and all, right, so for publishing the custom policies into Exchange, we will be integrating that with Maven. And when we do a CI/CD setup with Jenkins and Git repositories and all, right, there we will be using Maven. So those places as well, we will need the user credentials to talk with the Anypoint platform. So That's the thing. And after that, we will be having a Anypoint Studio as well. In Anypoint Studio, whenever a developer is doing some development by downloading any ramls, then after that, when he's trying to deploy the application into the runtime manager and all, right, there we need to pass the username and password need details and all. So there as well you need the users. So I will just to show how to create a user. So similarly, I have said, right, you can invite a user to your home. Okay, similar to that, there will be an option in the access management. So access management is the place where we will be managing the users. Okay, so you can straight away go and click on invite users. You can provide the mail id of that user, and you can add the roles, what role he needs to perform. Let me provide like stay.xyz at gmail.com. And after that, if I go to roles, right, I can choose any one role. So if he need only the exchange viewer, then I can provide exchange viewer and click on send invitation. So once the user accepted that invite, right, he will be able to log into the Anypoint platform, and he can perform whatever the actions provided for exchange viewer. Okay, so this is about user creation, and you can easily correlate this user creation with AWS IAM, because MuleSoft internally uses all the components provided by AWS only. So, so far, any questions or doubts?
Sridhar.
Yeah, yeah. Then we will move on to the next thing, the user management. User management is one of the very essential aspect in securing the MuleSoft platform, because uh, in this user management only, we will be mentioning what level of access will be provided to the users. Okay, and this is very much essential for safeguarding the platform. And we have multiple different components present in the platform, which helps in achieving this user management. So these are all the some of the components. The first one is business groups, then the teams, then the MFA or multi-factor authentication, then we have identity providers for connecting with the external IDPs, then we have connected apps. These connected apps is one of a programmatic way to access the platform. Then we have audit logs. In audit logs, we will be seeing how to identify the access violation and all. So these are all the components. So we will be just going to speak about each and every component in detail in the next upcoming slides. So the first one is business group. Okay, so uh, let's come to our analogy. Actually, I have mentioned, let's take an example of a platform as a home, right? So in our home, we will be having multiple uh, portions. So we will be having a kitchen, then a living room, then a balcony, so many things, right? So you can treat like our home is a root organization over here, and whatever the business groups we are mentioning, right, they are separate rooms which is present in our home. So we can treat like a business group one as our kitchen, business group two as our living room, business group three as our balcony, and so on. So this is very much essential for managing the access, because let's say we are having we are inviting a user A. Okay, and if we haven't provided any particular level of access, right, he can able to go to kitchen, bedroom, then the balcony, and in all the places in our home. But that's not needed, right, because if we hire a maid, we need to provide access only to our kitchen. So in this case, if we invite a maid, right, we will provide access only to our BG1, which is our kitchen. So this business group will provide that flexibility of inviting the user to particular portion. Okay, so as I mentioned, our root will be a platform thing. Okay, and the business groups will be the room kind of things. And inside the business group as well, you can create sub business groups, like in your living room, if you are having a wardrobe as a separate room, right, so you can go ahead and create another separate business group inside the BG1. Okay, so similarly, as I mentioned, you can have multiple business groups inside a business group, which we will be calling it as a sub business group. So this business, all the business groups will be residing in the parent root organization, and these will be following a hierarchy. So if we tell the BG1, right? For BG1, the parent is root. Okay, and if we create a business group inside the BG1, let's say till like SBG1, okay, then the SBG1's parent is BG1. So it follows some hierarchy, and per organization we will be able to create up to 100 business groups. Okay, and each and every business group inside that we can create multiple environments as well. So environments basically we will be dividing it into two categories. One is a sandbox and a production one. Our production related activities will be performed in the production environment. Okay, and whatever the remaining things will be performed in the sandbox type of environment. So inside the sandbox type of environment you can uh, further split them into multiple environments, like development for doing the development. Okay, then SAT for doing the testing, and UAT for user acceptance testing. Like this you can split up the environments. And the development environment present in BG1 is not related to any way with the development environment present in BG2, and similar things like that. Okay, and it's up to the team to decide what are the environments they need. Okay, and as I mentioned, right, the environments present in one BG is not related to another BG. Okay, so these are all some logical separations, and we will be able to name it freely according to our needs. Okay, so if you see in BG2 we are having development, SAT, and UAT, whereas in BG3 we are having as development, test, and UAT. And in BG4 we don't have any test environments and all, because it may be due to the business requirement. Okay, so any doubts till now?
No doubts.
Okay, let me just quickly show how to create a business groups. Okay, so when coming into an organization, right? So in organization we will be having multiple subgroups, like one subgroup for sales, then one subgroup for doing a research, then one subgroup for managing the employees. Okay, so you can treat this EY as a parent root organization, and inside that we can create multiple business groups. Let's say for example I am creating a business group as sales. Okay, and I'm choosing parent as EY. Okay, because this is the root organization, and I can provide any username as the owner. Okay, these are all mandatory things, and I have go ahead and do a create. And after that I'm providing another business group as research. Okay, let's create another business group as HR. So this is one of the way where the organization will be split up the root organization into the business groups according to their needs. Okay, and inside each business groups you can go ahead and create multiple environments as well. Let's create only for sales. Okay, I can go ahead and create a environment, and you can choose the type as production or sandbox. Okay, for production we can choose the type as production itself. Okay, and if you need SAT and UAT, right, you can choose the type as sandbox, and go ahead and create those environments as well. And after that also you can go ahead and do some name changes as well, or delete the environment as well. Whatever thing you needed, you can do. So I can edit this environment name as development. So this is how the business groups will look like. There will be a root organization. Then inside the root organization, there will be business groups, and inside business group, we will be having some environments created. So any doubts till now, or any questions?
Sridhar, I think we are cool to go.
Yeah, okay. So next we can move on to the teams. So team is corresponds to the daily activities or group of users we are mentioning, right? Like that. So if, say for example, in your project you are having some 10 developers and 3 QAs, right? So we will be calling them as a development team and QA team. So similarly, in MuleSoft as well, you can go ahead and create a team for developer, and you can add all those 10 developers into a developer team, and you can create a team for QA and provide the add all the three QA members into the QA team, and you can assign the corresponding level of permissions. So the main advantage of doing this is, instead if we don't have any teams, right, then we need to onboard each and every user, and after onboarding them you need to provide the access level for each and every user. Okay, say for example, if a developer is needing some 10 different permissions, right? So for each and every time you need to onboard a developer, and after onboarding you need to select the developer and provide those 10 permissions. Okay, but whereas if you use the teams, right, you can create a team and you can provide the 10 permissions to the team, and after that when you onboard that user into the team, right, then the user will be getting all the 10 permissions. Okay, so similar to business groups, teams will also be follow the hierarchy. There will be a parent team by default. Okay, and after that you can create multiple child teams as well. Also there is a scenario a user can be part of many teams. Let's say for example, we are having a developer X or user X. Okay, he is doing a development in one of the project, and he is also doing some of the production support things. So he can get both the access for a developer as well as production support kind of role. Okay, so that's still possible. And as I mentioned, we can provide the access directly to the teams. And before teams, we had something called roles. Okay, and currently the roles is been deprecated, and that has been merged with the teams. So if any of the existing organization is still having the roles, right, they will be able to convert that into the teams, or they can merge the existing roles into the teams. That's the option have been provided by the MuleSoft. Let's quickly go through the teams. Okay, let me delete this. So this will be present at the start. Okay, so the parent team will be like everyone at the your org. So actually, in our case the organization is EY, so it's showing like everyone at EY. So if you feel everyone at your organization needs the basic level of access like exchange viewer, right, then you can select these teams. Okay, and go to the permissions, and you can assign the permission. Okay, so you can choose to which and all business groups of these accesses or permissions are needed, and after that you can click on add permissions. So here what we have done is we have provided exchange viewer access to all the persons who are been part of this UA organization. Okay, and similarly we can create one more team as a developer. Okay, let's focus on sales department alone. So we can go ahead and create a one team as sales developer. Okay, so inside sales developer, you can add your members and assign permissions. Okay, let's we can assign the permissions. So we can choose add permissions. So since he is a developer, right, he don't need we can provide what all the level of access he needs. Okay, so we can provide like view API alerts, manage policies, manage contracts for development environment alone. Okay, so let's say these are all the permissions he needed. And in monitoring, he need the monitoring viewer, and design center access he will be needing. So in exchange, he needs to get the access to contributor and the viewer. Okay, and in runtime manager, he will be able. He needs the access to download the applications. So let's say, for example, read the alerts, read applications, then manage settings, create applications. These are all things he need the access. Okay, so you can click on next, and since we are creating a team for sales developer, right? You can select alone the sales business group, and you can click on next. So since this is for development environment alone, right? You can choose the development environment alone, and you can go ahead and click on add permissions. Okay. So if you see here, so these are all the different permissions he have got. Okay, and after that you can directly add the members to the teams. Else you need to click on each and every member, and after that you need to assign all these permissions to him, like that. Okay, so any doubts till now?
We have a question from
Yeah,
Devendra. So, can we create
yeah.
teams for design center access or runtime manager?
uh, Actually it's up to our need, but I think it won't be that much efficient if we create a separate team for design center alone, because with the design center alone, he can create a raml, but after that he won't have any other level of access, right?
Access,
So
yes, yes.
we can have a developer level of access, and inside that you can think from a developer perspective what all the different permissions he need from different components, and you can merge off all the things into a single team. So whatever we have done here, right?
Yes.
So we have provided design center access, then any point monitoring viewer access, then the basic any API manager access, and runtime manager access, all those things in a single team permissions itself.
Okay. Okay. There is one more question like developer, admin, DevOps level, right? I think
Yeah,
yes. Yes. Okay.
yeah,
I hope it's clear, Devendra. Yes. Thanks, Sridhar. That's all.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so MFA. MFA actually stands for multi-factor authentication. So nowadays, currently, many of the platform are enforcing the users to have additional level of security with this MFA thing. So this is very, very much needed in perspective of securing their corresponding platform, because with the existing username and password, if it got leaked to outside, right, then anyone can log in into their platform with the help of the same username and password. So this MFA will eradicate that. So with this MFA we will be going to have some additional level of security. Okay, and I have mentioned this for non-SSO users. So we will be seeing what is a non-SSO and SSO, all those things in the upcoming slides. Okay, and even org admin will be having one of the option to exempt some of the particular users from using this MFA, because there will be some valid scenario wherein the user won't be able to have the MFA kind of thing. So at the time, org admin can will be able to provide the uh, exception for the particular user alone. And currently, MuleSoft is allowing these four kind of verification methods for MFA. Okay, so the first one is third party authenticator apps. So second one is built-in authenticator. Then third one is security key, and fourth one is Salesforce authenticator. So at the end of the presentation, right, we will be having a demo in MFA using this third-party authenticator apps. So we will be going to see this at the end of the presentation. Okay. So and MuleSoft has come up with some of the timelines. Okay. So uh, wherein they are going to mandate the MFA for all the users across all the platforms by second half of 2022. Okay. So this is as the plan provided by MuleSoft. Okay. So any doubts in MFA, or we can go to the next one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Identity providers. Okay, so identity provider is the place where the username and password will be authenticated. Okay, so whenever we have logged into the control plane UI, right, by providing the username and password, so that username and password will be authenticated in some IDP or identity provider. So the default identity provider is Anypoint platform. So this Anypoint platform will be having the username and password of all the users. So whenever we will be entering the username and password for logging to the uh, web page of MuleSoft, right? So Anypoint platform will do that authentication. Okay, and if needed, we can integrate with the external identity providers as well. For some for organizations, there will be external identity provider like Ping Federate or OpenAM or Okta or Azure directories like that. So we can integrate with them as well. Uh, and till last month, we had the option to integrate with only one external IDP. Okay, but currently they have made some updates, and currently we can able to integrate with up to 25 external IDP. Okay, and we can integrate the external IDP only at the master org level. Okay, because in master org level only we will be maintaining the access all those details and all. And the currently supported two options to integrate are OpenID Connect and SAML 2.0. So OpenID Connect is on top of WATH 2.0. So the next one is SAML 2.0 protocol. And with these identity providers only, MuleSoft will be able to support the SSO for logging the users into their platform. So if your organization is having your account details in Okta, okay, so with the Okta username credentials, you can log into any point platform with the help of this SSO. Okay, so this is one of the very advantage thing of going with the identity providers, because say for example, if you in your organization you are having multiple portals. Okay, one portal for applying leave, one portal for submitting your appraisals, and one portal for downloading the pay slips. Similarly, there will be a number of portals, right? So what if there is no identity provider? Okay, then in that case, for each and every portal or a website, you need to register. Okay, and you need to maintain your username and password separately for each and every web page. Okay, that will be very much tedious. So this SSO will actually eradicate that with the help of only one username and password, which will be configured or maintained in any one of the external IDP which is present for your organization, right? You will be able to access multiple portals with the help of the single username and password combination. So this is how the SSO will works. Okay, so this slide is we have taken from the platform MuleSoft documentation itself. Let me go to the next one, which will be providing the more level of detail. Okay, so let's say I'm a user. Okay, in order to log into the Anypoint platform, I will be click on some link in the Google Chrome browser in my case. Okay, so internally what it will do is if I have a username and password, I can just log in. Okay, else if I have a SAML integrated with that, okay, let's with say for any external IDP like Octa or Ping Federate, any one IDP, okay, let's say I have integrated that, okay, then in that case when I click on the login in my browser, right, it will redirect my to IDP in my let's say Okta. So the browser will redirect me to Okta. So in Okta it will display a login screen wherein I need to enter the username and password. So that username and password will be authenticated in the Okta, okay, and after that it will provide a response with the SAML tokens, and that SAML token will be after that will be presented to the Anypoint platform. So here it will validate, and after that if everything is okay, right, it will provide the login page to me. So that this is how the SSO will be working. So any doubts till now?
Yes, Sridhar, we have doubt from multi-factor authentication. Um,
Yeah.
so the question is, if I want to automate the deployment, then do I need multi-factor authentication, or how do I provide the
Mm,
multi-factor authentication for that users?
yeah, we will come to that. Actually, that's a valid question. So we will just to go ahead to see in the next slides all those things.
Okay. Yeah.
Any
No other
other
questions.
questions,
No, no,
Fatima?
no questions.
Okay. So for the question which Fatima has just now raised, right, for deploying the applications,
Do
all
we
those
need
things,
multi-factor authentication? Yes.
yeah. So mostly we will be using the username and password kind of thing, okay. But the drawback is it's not that much secure, right? If it got leaked, then anyone can use that. So in order to prevent that, we have something called connected apps. So this connected apps is a framework, okay. Using this you can interact with the Anypoint platform in a more programmatic way. So with connected apps you will be getting some ID and secret, and using that you will be able to uh, communicate with the Anypoint platform APIs to get the token, and after that with the help of the token you can interact with the MuleSoft platform REST APIs. Okay, so in whatever the place you are maintaining the username and password apart from login into the UI, right? Because with if you are logging into the Anypoint platform UI, you can directly replace it with the SSO in the remaining places. Let's say Anypoint platform CLI or REST APIs or Maven or Studio. Studio anyway will be going to have the username and password, and we can replace it with the SSO thing itself. Okay. Uh, so for this rest of the three, okay, CLI, REST APIs, and Maven, and uh, for your information, the Maven and Anypoint CLI internally uses platform REST APIs only. Okay, if you are going to interact with the MuleSoft platform with any of these three approaches, right, then we need to use the connected apps. Okay, so using the connected apps you can create a ID and secret, okay, and using that ID and secret you can um, communicate with the Anypoint platform APIs. And one more advantage is whatever the actions you are performing with this connected app site, they are audited. So we can see what all the different actions being performed and what time, and what's the payload being sent when that action is performed. So all those things you can see in connected apps. And org admin will be having the privilege to create and manage the access for these connected apps. So say for example, if you have a requirement for CI/CD setup, okay. So for CI/CD setup, you need to integrate or you need to communicate with any point platform from any of the tools like Jenkins. Okay, so in Jenkins, instead of configuring the platform username and password, right, you can go ahead and configure the ID and secret of connected apps, and using that you can communicate with the Anypoint platform. Okay, I will just quickly walk you through how to create the connected app. okay, and how it will look like. So there will be option called connected apps in the access management. So and you will be having a option to create an app. So you can choose app acts on behalf of a user and use the grant type as password. Sorry, you can choose on one behalf, and you can choose ad scopes. Okay, so if you are going to do a CE/CD setup, right, then probably you will be looking for a create application access, then read application, because before deployment it will check whether the application is present or not, then probably delete application, then manage settings for updating the settings, manage alerts. Let's say for example these are all the different permissions it's need. Okay, you can click on next, and you can click on all the business groups and all the environments, because mostly in the CI/CD setup, right, in Jenkins, you will be having a common vault, and from there only you will be doing the deployment for all the business groups. So I have added the scopes, then assigned to the corresponding environments. Okay, when I click on add scopes, right, let's say this name as CI/CD. When I click on save, it will generate a username and ID and secret. Okay, this ID and secret, and with this ID and secret, I can configure this ID and secret in the Jenkins, and using this will communicate with my Anypine platform. Any doubts?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the last topic we will be going to see in user management is audit logs. This is one of the most powerful thing, because using audit logs only you will be able to identify whether any access violation occurred or not, and you can able to have a complete history of the audit logs for the past 6 years, because it will be retain the platform for the past 6 years. Okay, and uh, y- a user needs to have a audit log viewer permission to in order to access these audit logs, and there will be a option to search with many multiple filters. You can search with the component, then the actions, then the username, everything is possible, the filters. And you will be having an option to download from the UI as well. And we are having a audit log query API as well, in order to uh, communicate or interact with the platform to fetch out the audit logs. So this is the place where we'll be having the audit logs. Okay, and one more thing we have seen here is it's a business scope aware. Okay, so the audit logs will be stored for each and every business group separately. So this is the audit log for the parent organization, and similarly there will be a audit log present for each and every business group as well. So it will capture all the each and every minute steps we have done in the platform, and it was done by whom, all those level of details it can capture. So if you see, we have in HR business group, we have created the environments design and sandbox when we have created the business group. Okay, and for research as well we have done the same, but for sales we have done so many things, like we have created additional environments, we have renamed the environment name for sandbox to development, and we have added a teams and assigned permissions, all those things. So if we select the sales, right, we will be able to see all the things. And similarly, if a user has made any modifications or changes in the production environment and all, right, that also will be reflected here. And if there is any contract being approved, or if asset got deleted, all those things it can be listed over here, so that the platform admin will be having the access or having the option to quickly go through what happened at a particular point of time, and troubleshoot from there for root cause analysis also. Okay, so as I mentioned, we can filter it based on multiple things. You can filter it based on environment name, then the user, then the object, then actions, what action being performed, then the object types, then the products. Since we have made only the uh, all of our activities in the access management, right? It's showing access management alone. If we perform some of the actions in API manager or runtime manager in other things, right, it will show all those things as well here. Okay, in object type it will show, since we have performed only the environment creation alone, it's showing that. Okay, so these are all things we can view in the audit logs. So it's very powerful in if we face some of the issues in any environments, right? With this help of audit logs, we can easily track down if something happened in the platform or not. So any questions till now?
Yes. So again, question from Devendra.
Yeah,
How can we automate audit logs reports?
work logs report in the sense.
Audit logs.
Okay, audit log reports. As I mentioned, right, we will be having two options. One is from the user interface, and another is for audit log query API. Okay,
Yeah.
so whatever we are seeing is the uh, UI. Okay, so this is a manual approach, and if we need to automate it, right, we will be having some of the APIs
Cloud Hub
provided by the
APIs, you mean,
platform
right?
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So using this API, we will be able to get all the details. So this have extensive documentation as well. Okay, so
Okay.
here as well you can filter out based on the actions or the objects or whatever the different products, like that. So in order to communicate with this audit log query API, right, you need to get a uh, authorization token, and for the authorization token only, you can get it via a username and or password combination, else with the help of these connected apps. It's recommended to use the connected apps because this is the programmatic way to communicate. And with the id and secret we are having from the connected apps, right, using this, none of nobody will be able to log in into the UI. They can access the platform only in a programmatic way, and that too for the provided permissions only.
Oh,
So if you see here, we haven't provided permission for audit log viewer. Okay, so if we have created a token based with this help of this id and secret, right, and after that if the user is able, trying to access the audit log query API, it will tell forbidden kind of error, because for that API the access is not provided here.
okay. I hope Devendra, your doubt is cleared. Yes. Thank you, Sridhar. No more questions.
Okay, so these are all some general recommendations from my end. Okay, so it's always recommended to integrate the anypoint platform with the external IDP, because in that way we don't need to manage the users mostly, uh, because if the user got added to external IDP, right, then he will be getting the corresponding roles into the anypoint platform. Okay, and we need to create a groups and add the members into the particular group into the IDP directory itself, like Okta or Ping Federate, whatever the IDP they are using. Okay, and when coming into the platform, we can create the teams. Okay, and we need to assign the permission to the team, and tag we can tag that team with the group present in the IDP, so that overall person present in the group in IDP, right, they will be directly map to the team present in the Anypoint platform. I will just show how to do those as well. Okay, using the service account and use the connected apps wherever possible for stronger security. And if there is any need where we need to use the non-SSO user alone, right? Then it's very much recommended to configure the MFA in the platform. And the last recommendation is we need to monitor the audit logs for any access violations and all. So that ends the presentation. We can move on to the demo. So before moving on to demo, if we have any other questions, right, we can take it.
No questions. We are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in demo, first we will be seeing MFA. Okay. So as I said, MFA stands for multi-factor auth, and we have some changes occurred in the Anypoint platform UI. So that's why it's pointing to identity providers. As I mentioned, right, previously we have only one identity provider can be configured at the max, and now we can configure up to 25 identity providers. So now they have moved the multi-factor auth option as well into the identity providers. Okay, and for any point alone you can configure the identity providers, sorry, the MFA. For the rest of the things, right, it's used for SSO configuration only, whereas this MFA is needed only for non-SSO users who are logging to the Anypoint platform with the help of username and password. So for this Anypoint only, we need to have the MFA configured. Okay, so when I enter into this Anypoint, right, here it shows MFA not required because we haven't made it mandatory currently. Okay, and when we enter it, it shows account creation. It shows two options like allow account creation and disable account creation, which means basically if we disable the account creation, right, after that uh, the org administrator won't be able to invite any of the users into the platform via the option which we have seen during the start of this meetup. All the users has to be onboarded into the platform via IDPs. Okay, and for multi-factor authentication, there will be two options like optional and required. By mandatory, it will be is optional currently. Okay, and there's another option like required, and the org administrator can choose if it's needs to be made required, and if he clicks on the required, right, then he can have an option to exempt some of the particular users from being used from this MFA. Let's say for example I'm having two users and I can choose any one user. If he doesn't need the MFA, right, then the org administrator can do that. Okay, so I have made it as a required and clicked on save changes. Okay, so at the moment we have made the MFA as required. And if you remember, right, at the start of the meetup, when we have logged into the platform, I have entered the username and password, and after that, it opened the home page for me. Okay, let me try to sign out from the MuleSoft and do the login again. Okay, so this is my username and this is my password. And when I click on sign in, right, it's not directing me to the login page directly. Okay, instead it's asking to select a registration or verification method to register. So we need to choose any one of this option. Okay, currently I will be going to choose one-time password generator. Okay, for in in all your mobile, you will be mostly having the authenticator app, right? So in that authenticator app, you need to scan this QR code, and after scanning this QR code, yeah, verification code will be generated, and you need to paste the verification code here so that you will be able to log into the platform. So I have taken my mobile and scanned it just now, and it provided some verification code. 64706 and I have connected. Okay, so after verification it's allowing me to log in. MFA comes into the picture because it provides some additional level of security. So in addition to the username and password which I am passing, right, I need to verify my identity with help of any one of the verification methods which MuleSoft is providing. Okay, and let's say for example I am having another user as well, right? This user, let me try to log in with this user. Okay, for this user as well it will show the similar thing. Let me open in the new incognito window. Let me provide the username and password. So here as well it's asking the same thing. So for this as well I can generate the one time verification verification code from the authenticator app. So with the help of that stay underscore 11 2021, that user I have logged into the platform, and after that I can able to access all those things. Let's say for example if this user has lost his mobile, okay, at that time he won't be able to get the one time thing from the authenticator app. Okay, so in this cases and all he needs to just reach out to the org admin, and the org admin has to reset the MFA, or he needs to exempt that user from the MFA. Okay, if let's say for example the org administrator is accepting from using the MFA, and after that he can just log into the platform, and after he can just go to the profile, he can just do the configure MFA thing. Okay, since now we have exempted him, right, it's showing like this. Let me sign out. Let me log in again with the same user. So as we have exempted, it's not asking additional verification. Okay, and if we go to the profile, right, still it will tell like exempted from MFA. So say for example now if he have got his mobile back, and he has configured the authenticator app, and after that the org administrator can remove his account from the exemption. Okay, and that user can log into the platform with his thing, and after that he can configure the MFA, and he can choose the verification method and do the configurations. So for this MFA, the configuration has to be done from both the administrator as well as the user level. So for administrator level, it's a very easier thing. The administrator has to provide the MFA as required, and if at all any users needs to be exempted, he can add or remove the users. Okay. Whereas from the user level, the user needs to choose the verification method against which he needs to provide his or prove his identity. So any doubts in this? Fatima or John, any questions?
No, we have no questions.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Fatima.
Yeah, no questions, Sridhar.
Okay. Then the next topic we will be going to see is in the demo is configuring the SSO. Okay, I will just provide the steps on how to configure the SSO and how to access the platform with the SSO things and all. Okay, so in order to configure the SSO, right, you need to get the some of the single sign-on URL values and the issuer provider details and all from your corresponding identity provider team. So if you have the identity provider as Okta, right, then from Okta team you need to get the single sign-on URL, then the issuer, then the public key, audience key values, all those things we need to get from the corresponding team. Okay, and we need to configure over that here. And after that you will be having two URLs using that you can log into the any point platform account. So you can either use this single sign on URL. So here the user can enter his Okta username and password. Okay, and after that he can go to sign in. Okay, else he can use this URL as well. And once the user has entered this URL, right, it will show in additional to the username password sign in, it will show an additional of external identity providers link as well. Say for example, if this user is linked with Azure AD, right, and if you click on Azure AD, it will redirect him to the Azure page for login. Okay, and if he has configured his credentials in Okta, right, when you click on continue with Okta, it will redirect him into Okta's homepage. So this is the URL. Okay, and if you click on use custom domain and provide the domain name, right, it will redirect him to the custom domain page. Actually, I have tried for the demo with Okta SAML thing configuration, but unfortunately for past uh, couple of days this configuration is not working for me, because after the platform change has been made, right, I'm not able to configure the Okta with my trial account. So that's why I'm not able to show the demo, but this is how it will works.
No problem, Sridhar.
So any doubts or questions?
Uh, I think no more doubts. Guys, any doubts, please put in the chat. No, Sridhar, no questions.
Okay, yeah, Fatima, I'm stopping my sharing. So if at all
Okay.
any questions you guys can please put in so that I can
Yeah, so we have one
respond.
question from Bipin.
Yeah,
What are external
yeah.
apps?
Okay, external labs actually if your organization is been partnered with some other different organization who are also having account in SnapLogic, right? Sorry, MuleSoft, right? At that time, that organization can invite your organization to access their platform. Let's say, for example, Starbucks and Nike. Okay, so Starbucks is one of having one of their platform account in MuleSoft. Okay, and Nike is also having one of the platform setup in MuleSoft. Okay, in case when Starbucks is providing some of the promotions and all, right, and if they have invited Nike as well to use that platform, they can request them to join via the external apps.
Okay, I hope it's clear, Bipin. Yeah. Okay, that's all. No more questions, Sridhar. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we can go for the quiz now. So John, can you share the details of the quiz?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Fatima. So guys, as usual, let's go to the quiz. So before that, let me start presenting my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, John.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. So before we start, I would also like to start this with some of the guidelines and regulations that we usually follow. So as all know, this is a TRIA quiz. So and it's been introduced, I think, like 3 or 4 months before these guidelines. So the thing is, it's nothing but no one who has actually won a voucher or who has actually participated in a quiz and won a voucher in the last 30 days should be participating for this, because we are actually aiming this or actually targeting for the people who wants to get a chance and get certified. So even if you guys have won it in between 30 days or something, and if you're winning it today, that will be considered void, because the preference or the agenda is we want to give this chance to the new people or the people who are not certified. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about this two AQs. And also today we are going to conduct this on Kahoot. So most of us must be knowing already. So this is gonna be a quiz platform. So I'll be actually sharing the questions on the screen, and you will be asked to log in through your mobile, basically by going through Kahoot.it. It is KAHOOT.it. So and after that there will be a code that's displayed on the screen, and you can basically log in through your phone. After typing Kahoot.it, you can just type in this code and you can log in there, and you will be able to see the choices, and the choices will be of different colors, and based on the question that's displayed on my screen, you can select that. So the more fast you answer, the more strict points you get. So that's how it works. And okay, maybe we can go towards that. I think, yeah, Fatima has actually put that host in the chats. You can just go into that and be ready for it. I'll quickly share my Kahoot screen. Okay, guys, please let me know if it is visible for you guys. Yeah, so
Yeah, John.
yeah, thanks, Sridhar. Yeah, so basically you can just log into Kahoot.it as displayed on the screen and just type in this code there. We'll just give it a few minutes for everyone to join. I can see only 7 members, so I assume others have either won or they are not interested to participate. We'll give it a few more minutes, right, Fatima? So
Guys, join.
yeah, I guess it's working for you, right? Uh, Venkata Lakshman, I think it's working for you, I guess, right? Yeah, thanks, thank you. Maybe I guess we can go forward with this now. So I'm gonna lock the participants, and we'll just. Okay, I have a question. I have a voucher in last 30 days. I can participate. If you already have a voucher, Gautam, I guess you can apply that instead of again applying for this. If that was your question, because anyway, this will be verified by the external team. So yeah, thanks, Gautam. Yeah. Yeah, so guys, let's lock this and start it. So as I said, please look into the screen for the questions and options, and you can answer in your phones. So the first one. Okay, seems like majority of them answered it right. Let's go see the positions. Yeah, it's Santosh, Lakshman, and Dev. Okay, that's a good nickname, Dev. Okay, so it's Santosh. Oh, it's Dev. Okay, my God, I thought it's Dev. I was just I was just looking at it in a software perspective. Sorry, guys. Okay, it's Dev. Sorry, Dev. Yeah, Santosh, Lakshman, and Dev. Let's go to the next question. User actions can be viewed using which logs? Okay, majority of them answered it right again. So let's again see the podium. It's again Santosh, Lakshman, and Dev. So let's go to the next question, guys. So all of these are basically from what Sridharan gave us a session about. Oh, that's nice. Seems like Sridharan, everyone were so much attentive in your session. Most of them are answering it right.
Yeah, it's glad to see.
Yes, yeah. So let's see. Okay, there's a change in group. We have Anjali who came up now. So it's Lakshman, Anjali, and Santosh. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is the fourth one. Okay, that's nice. Okay, we have Bipin, Santosh, and Anjali. Let's go to the fifth question, guys. This is a true or false question. Okay, that's nice. Most majority of them answered it right. Yes, it's again Anjali, Bipin, and Santosh. Let's go to the second last, third last question. Okay, let's again see the podium. It's Santosh, Anjali, and Lakshman. Let's go to the second last question, guys. Again, true or false? Okay. Everyone is so fast typing in the answers that it's just getting over before the 20 seconds or 10 seconds. That's nice, guys. So let's go to the last and final question of this session. It's again Anjali, Lakshman, and Bipin. The last question, guys. Again, a true or false? Yes. All right. So let's finally see the final positions. So the third position, we have Bipin in the podium. Then we have Lakshman, and we have Anjali. Yep. Congrats, both. Congrats, all the three of you, Anjali, Lakshman, and Bipin, and also everyone who participated. So, so basically, you guys can just leave in your mail IDs in the chat. So we'll get back to you after this session or after the weekend. We'll get back to you soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who participated. So maybe, yeah. Fatima, over to you. You can just take it off from here. Thank you, guys.
Congrats, everyone. And it was a tight competition. And Shrita, your session was really good. Everyone got to answer all. I mean, mostly everyone answered it right. So that was nice. And so thank you guys. Thank you, Sridhar. So please provide your feedback, and your feedback means a lot. And if there is any topic which you wish to have in our next meetup, please do put that as well. And if you guys want to, if you guys have any more doubts, please do message. We'll get back to you. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Sridhar. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope 3 of them gave the mail IDs, right? Yeah. Yeah, Aditya, the recording will be given to you after it is published. We'll give it to you. I mean, it will be published in the channel, and you can just get it from there. It will be there in the meetup page. Lakshman, the vouchers will be, I'll be sending in your mail after you provide your mail ID. I'll be just getting back to you with more details. Okay, you can. I'll furnish you with more details. Yeah, thanks, Lakshman. Did we get all the 3 mail IDs? Yeah, I think we got all the mail IDs. Yeah, thank you, Bipin. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend, guys. Thank you. Bye.